Charlie, why don't you bring us up to speed a little bit about what you've been working on? What are the challenges right now that you're facing? Who's being persecuted? Are we still seeing 15 to 25-year-old minorities be the focus of drug enforcement in our region?
In the county I live, there are not a lot of minorities, so I don't think that I can actually say, up there, minorities are being targeted. I think that's true in Seattle, absolutely. I'm going to try to stay on the topic, and I'm going to say that the majority of what I've learned to give as a speech here at this event, I've learned from Jeff Steinborn. He's definitely been an inspiration to me, and he's right. Potbus.com is an excellent resource. I want people to avoid the embarrassment, the expense, and legal ramifications of having to spend a night in jail in Washington because you happen to have some marijuana on you. A lot of people still don't realize that. We're making so many advances in Washington, but if you don't have a recommendation and you have any amount of marijuana, what day do you want to spend in jail if you're convicted? And that's preposterous. It really is. So let's avoid that. And this includes patients too, because not every county in this state is going to make your life a pleasant visit. So the most basic advice I give to people is keep it locked in a box. Think Al Gore, lockbox. It's simple. You do not give permission to open it. You're going to save yourself a lot of trouble. You're not going to say, oh, an officer, by the way, I am a patient and I have my medicine in this box. It's none of their business if you have a debilitating disease that you need marijuana to treat it. The best way to avoid even having that conversation is that the officer never smells it in the first place. So, if you need to medicate, you do it someplace in the open air and that the smell will leave, and not in your car, even with the windows down. You keep your medicine in a smell-proof container, and your life will just be a lot easier. You keep your car and your house clean. You never know when an officer is going to knock on your door because they've heard, someone's walking around your neighborhood. Have you seen anybody? Well, if you have a bong in your hand when you answer the door, it's not going to be fun for the rest of the night. I'll just tell you that now. So, keep your house clean. Never agree to a search. I'm sure there's plenty of people here who remember that one time that they dug into their shoe and found a bag of something that I have no idea that was there. Now, I'm glad that you found that outside of the presence of the police. Don't ever let them have that surprise. You think your car is clean? Great. Still, you're officer, I'm not going to let you search my car because I'm an American and I know my rights. That's just what I'm going to say today. And I'm not going to answer any other questions because I'd like to speak with my attorney.
I think that's all good advice. And I think basically the advice there is don't do other people's jobs for them. Don't put yourself in jeopardy. There's enough people trying to put you in jeopardy out there. Don't put yourself in jeopardy. And so be smart, be discreet. And that's really what I think responsible adult cannabis use in this legal climate is all about. John?
You can tell them that the police that your lawyer said not to talk, and he said, if you don't take my advice, I double the price.
There we go, exactly.
Always works.
It's really,
remember, when the police say to you that if you cooperate, it'll go easier, what they mean is it will go easier for them.
For them, their write-up is going to be easier.
There's three really magic legal phrases that everybody needs to know. Yeah. And the first is, am I free to leave? And if the answer to that is yes, then leave. You can go get some ice cream. You could invite the policeman to go get some ice cream with you, but you could just go. You're able to leave. The second one is what Jeff said. I want to talk to my lawyer. That's a magic legal phrase. Yeah. And the third is I exercise my right to silence. I want to exercise my right to silence. It turns out just being silent doesn't actually exercise it. You have to clearly and unambiguously, more or less in those words, I'm exercising my right to remain silent.
And then you do it.
Yeah,
And then you shut the fuck up.
You've
Excuse me.
all seen the on TV and the movies the Miranda warnings. Think about what those warnings say. Anything you say can and will be used against you.
Duh.
Anything you say will be used against you. You say, "Good day, officer," and the cop will write a report. You'll see 2 months later that says, "I looked up at that moment. It was cloudy, about to rain. He must have been hallucinating on drugs."
I've got a short.
You get in trouble by talking to them and lying. You get in trouble by talking to them and telling the truth.
A short but true story that led to a phone call to our next speaker, John Conroy. My dispensary got busted. Or not busted, it got broken into. It got robbed. About 14 months after we opened up in 2000. I called the police. They kindly came and fingerprinted the place, took a lot of data. They actually arrested the person who robbed the dispensary within 48 hours, and they called me into the police station to identify the cannabis. Now, in Canada, medical cannabis dispensaries aren't legal, so I went into the police station naively. They had a pile of cannabis. Some of it was mine, some of it wasn't mine. They asked me to identify it. As I was identifying the cannabis, I noticed they were videotaping the event. So somewhere in the police department, the Oak Bay Police, there is a videotape of my looking at a camera and saying, can this be used against me? Can this be discriminating? And the camera goes like this. As I identified my cannabis. Literally within 24 hours, I was under arrest specifically for identifying that cannabis and was charged with 3 counts of trafficking of medical marijuana. It took 2 years and the help of this man before we got an absolute discharge, praise from the judge, and had the whole case tossed out. So that was my attempt to be honest, to be accountable, and to be transparent about what I was doing, but I was really doing the police officers' jobs at the time. Had I called John before I went in there rather than after I went in there, I think I could have saved a lot of trouble.